Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Taylor, advocate for the devil, and in light of that particular title, I have a confession to make. I've failed. Failed more often than I'd like to admit, but in the interest of full disclosure, I feel the need to tell you all about it. I've failed at picking up women.
Have you met me?
I failed at school. Hell, I've even failed at another web show. Ladies and gents, I've failed more often than I can count. More often than most, and quite spectacularly to boot. I could probably start my own religion out of failing.
If there was a f***up Pope, I would have a 3-foot hat.
And each time I failed, I would get up again, usually after a week or 6 of binge drinking and depression, say to myself, well, that sucked, and proceed to do everything possible to never fail again. But here's the thing. Failure is good. In fact, I'm gonna go on record to say that failing is the best thing that could ever happen to somebody. Failure is a necessary part of the learning process. When you're born, you know next to nothing. You can't walk, you can't talk, and you soil yourself on a daily basis.
You're also born covered in blood and placenta. No one gets nostalgic about that.
As time goes on, your baby cries turn into words. Every time you fall down trying to stand, it teaches you how to stand on your own 2 feet. And pretty soon, you're taking off your diaper, which reminds your parents to potty train you. Now, the older you get, the risks for failure get bigger. But so do the rewards when you finally figure things out. Take school, for example. Again, when you start, you know next to nothing. Then your teachers try to fill that empty, round, sometimes good-looking, like myself, head with something resembling useful knowledge. They teach you the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, which is a failure all on its own, as that's actually only one word that starts with R. Then you do your first test. Did you get everything right? Well, chances are, you didn't. But then you look at your mistakes and you learn from those mistakes. You saw what you got wrong and you look it up so that you don't do that again. Failure is an excellent learning tool. It's the same thing with social interactions. You meet someone at a bar and you get a drink thrown in your face.
Haley, you are a fat, ugly whore.
Now you know what not to say to a beautiful woman whose sacred temple you'd like to enter. You meet people and you start talking. You think there's a friendship forming, but you come on way too strong on the political, musical, or religious topics. And suddenly, these people are looking for the nearest exit. All these interactions teach you things. They teach you about yourself, what you're looking for in friendships or relationships or whatever. You may have failed at getting to know them, but you succeeded at learning a bit more about yourself. Or at least what not to do. Now I'm gonna start talking about work. Yes, I know everyone hates having a job, but just bear with me for a sec. So you go in, let's say random job as a clerk somewhere.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
You open boxes, you put things on shelves, and you deal with angry, ignorant, pushy people.
I'm okay with that, because I'm an ignorant, pushy people person.
You work and toil your 9 to 5 because you've got rent to pay, food to eat, and an internet connection that needs maintaining so that you can keep watching wonderful people like me trying to entertain wonderful people like you. One day, your boss calls you into his office and starts screaming his head off. You done screwed up. You placed a bunch of stock in the wrong spot, or you forgot to do the rotation, and now a couple of $1,000s worth of food is getting thrown away, affecting the bottom line for the company this month. There's 2 reactions you can have to this. The wrong one, which involves you moping for a couple of hours because you made a simple avoidable mistake, or possibly getting pissed off at them for getting pissed off at you. This is a bad reaction. Or you can do the right thing. Take responsibility for your mistake, own it, and correct it. Now that you've been shown what you're doing wrong, you know what to do next time to make sure this doesn't ever happen again. The unfortunate reality of the world we live in is that nobody wants to be told that they're wrong. Everyone wants to be a special little snowflake that is perfect in every way. You want a trophy just for participating, not for actually accomplishing something.
And when did that start?
I have 2 pieces of paper for my academic stuff. A diploma from high school where I really didn't do anything and essentially got passed because I had a pulse, and a paper from a writing course that I did, which I worked very hard at and achieved high marks for everything that I had done. Take a wild guess as to which one is hanging up on display and which one got shoved in a box, never to be looked at again. We need to fail. We need to be told that we're wrong. We need to get our asses kicked once in a while. It makes us humble, reminds us that we aren't perfect, and teaches us what not to do in the future. Above all else, it shows us what we aren't actually capable of. From a young age, we're all told that we can do anything that we want to do. But sometimes, that just isn't true.
If people could be anything they dreamed, the world would be full of movie stars and astronauts. And then who would make the sandwiches?
When we succeed at everything, our ego gets inflated to the point of insanity because we've never had to deal with being wrong. When you make a mistake, you learn from it, and it makes you better in the long run. A buddy of mine, while I was going through a particularly rough time, once told me, there's no such thing as a useless experience. Bad ones, yes. Ones that we wish that we didn't have to go through. But you can learn from everything so it's not useless. Bad things happen to everyone. Failure happens to everyone. But hey.
Bet you're not going to do that again now, are you?
And finally, I can't talk about any kind of failure without talking about the biggest failure of all time. A worldwide failure. Xenophobia. Whether it's Nazi Germany in World War II, the slave trade in the United States, or every single goddamn day living in Quebec, it seems that if you're at all different from the mass majority, you're wrong. This, to me, is a massive failure as a society. Somewhere deep down within all of us, we're all just human. It shouldn't matter what color your skin is, what language you speak. If you're a human being, then you have every right to exist as anybody else. Nobody is better, we all screw up, and hopefully we all improve ourselves because of it. Hell, it looks like we already are, or at least making amends. In 2008, for the first time in history, the United States voted Barack Obama, a black guy, as their president. And while the failure that is slavery certainly hasn't been absolved just yet, thankfully, as humans, we always strive to never repeat those mistakes of our past.
I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care.
Well, fuck. Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, I do hope you see that failure isn't always a bad thing. When you're a child, you hit snags along the way. At your jobs, in your relationships, screwing up can teach you more about yourself than constantly standing victorious ever could. Being wrong is not the end of the world. It's the end of your own ignorance. That should be embraced. Feel free to let me know in the comments section below what your biggest failures are, or any points you have against the act of screwing up, so that I can proceed to prove you wrong.
Boom! Lawyered.
However, in the case of failing, the defense rests.
Ready?